You people always think you can just waltz in here with your dirty money. That's how it started, right there on the cracked concrete of my new driveway. Penelope Blackthorne in all her suburban regalia, 3 police cruisers screeching up behind her like she was leading a parade, me half-dragging a refrigerator into the house at 8:30 on a Tuesday morning, sweat in my eyes, 47 boxes from witness protection lined up behind me, each stamped with federal seals I hoped nobody recognized. She had no clue who she was picking a fight with. Not a clue that the HOA palace where she'd held court for 15 years was built on land my family had owned since 1842, and not a hint that the original deed had just landed in my hands after sitting in an FBI evidence locker for nearly a decade. Name's Garrison Blackwater, and 72 hours earlier I'd have told you my life was almost boring. If you can call starting over with a new face, a new name, and a different social security number boring. See, when you testify against the Castellano crime family, paranoia doesn't just become a habit, it's oxygen. So, that morning I woke up at 5, checked every lock, memorized my escape routes, poured burnt coffee down my throat while scanning the woods for anything that moved. U.S. Marshals said this was my last stop, my last new life. Silver Pine Lake, population nosy, stuck up, and probably armed. The house was a colonial relic. White paint flaking off in long strips, black shutters drooping like tired eyelids. Historic character, according to the real estate agent. But that's just code for the locals think it's haunted. Nobody said why it sat empty since '87. Just that the furniture was left behind. 3 cars rusting in the garage, bloodstains in the basement somebody tried to bleach into history. My handler, Rodriguez, grinned when he handed me the keys. Nobody asks too many questions about the kind of person who buys the cursed Holloway house, he said. Cursed. That should have been a red flag, but after 8 years in the wind, the idea of staying in one place was intoxicating. And the price, $87,000 for lakefront, are you kidding me? Was enough to make me ignore just about anything. Truck had barely stopped and the curtain twitching started, across the street, up and down the block. Within 5 minutes, there's a knot of neighbors on the sidewalk, peering like they'd been waiting their whole lives for someone to move into the murder house. And then she emerged, Penelope, with platinum hair and a helmet that could survive a hurricane, coral blazer, her assistants in tow, both wearing matching HOA badges like Secret Service. She snapped her fingers, and the movers actually froze, couch dangling between them, looking like they'd stumbled into a live taping of Neighborhood Nightmares. This is private property, and you're trespassing, she barked. I kept it calm, years of courtrooms and cross-examinations behind my poker face. I'm the new owner. Closed on it 3 days ago. Penelope's eyes narrowed, phone already out like a weapon. The Holloway estate would never sell to someone like you. Not without HOA approval. Someone like me. Standing there in faded jeans, hands calloused from years of hiding behind manual labor, T-shirt from a charity run before my old life ended. Yeah, I probably looked like trouble, but not the kind she thought. I reached for the deed, but she was already on 911, giving her best president of the HOA routine, painting me as a dangerous intruder. The movers traded glances. One tattooed guy mouthed good luck, then vanished. Welcome wagon, Silver Pine style. Ma'am, I have the paperwork. I tried, but she cut me off, eyes darting to the house, then back to me. That house has been empty since the murders. Either you're crazy or you're lying. Either way, you're not welcome. Murders. That's what they called it. The FBI file was vague, but the fear in her eyes made the legend real. The cops rolled up, 3 cars, sirens off, but lights flashing like they expected a hostage situation. Officer Raymond Hutchcraft got out, and I could tell by his slumped shoulders this wasn't his first Penelope incident. He greeted her with a tight smile. What's the problem today, Mrs. Blackthorne? He's breaking in, she shrieked, pointing like she'd just spotted the Loch Ness monster. Hutchcraft sized up the moving truck, saw the paperwork, and when he hit the federal seal his whole posture changed. Everything's in order, he told Penelope, and when he said my name, Blackwater, she actually flinched. That's not possible. They're all dead. That's when I knew this went deeper than I'd been told. Hutchcraft shut it down, warning Penelope not to harass me, but she wasn't finished. You'll get the rule book, she sneered. Inspections tomorrow at 8 a.m. sharp. As she spun away, she hissed, your family should have stayed away. Some secrets are better left buried. The movers finished in silence. When the truck left, the house felt different. Old dust swirling in sunlight, floorboards creaking with every step, pipes gurgling like they had something to say. I started unpacking and found an old photo stuck behind a kitchen cabinet. A family in front of this very house, 1920s clothes, caption on the back, the Blackwater family, rightful owners of Silver Pine Valley, 1923. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe not. Down in the basement, bleach stains still marked the floor, 3 spots, about the size of bodies. But it was the wall that drew me in. I scraped away years of paint, found a mural, Silver Pine Lake before the town, just trees and water, and a grand house labeled Blackwater Manor, ST 1842. Right then, my phone buzzed. Rodriguez, everything okay? Local LEO said you had a run-in. I lied and said yes. Truth is, the walls were closing in fast. Couldn't sleep that night, so I checked the attic, pulled down the ladder, climbed up, found a trunk stamped EB 1842. Inside, deeds, survey maps, old contracts. One stopped my heart. A bill of sale for 2,000 acres, signed over to Elias Blackwater by the federal government. My family didn't just own a house, they owned the whole damn valley. Why wasn't I told? What happened to them? Next morning, Penelope returned with a small army. 6 HOA goons with clipboards, measuring tapes, the works. She didn't bother with pleasantries, just barged in, team fanning out like SWAT. Grass half an inch too long, mailbox not approved, paint color non-compliant, violations stacking up like poker chips. 15 grand in fines this month alone, she said sweetly. Or, you could just sell. That was the play. Bully me out, take the house back. But why? Why did it matter so much to her? I wasn't selling, I said. Her smile turned shark-like. We'll see about that. Then a junior inspector called out from the basement. Mrs. Blackthorne, you need to see this. We all trooped down. The mural was in full view. Her face went from red to white to dead gray. Cover that up, she hissed. Why? It's history. That's vandalism, she snapped. If you don't remove it, I'll add destruction of property to your violations. How is it destruction if it's my property? Because this land belongs to Silver Pine Lake. The Blackwaters lost their claim 100 years ago. Something cracked in her voice, and I pressed. What happened 100 years ago? She faltered, just for a second, and in that space I saw the truth. She knew exactly what happened, why my family vanished, why the house was haunted by fear. Your uncle thought he could reclaim the past, too, she whispered. Look what happened to him. My uncle, the one whose murder put me in witness protection. My head spun. I called Rodriguez. Why was I put here? Did my uncle die trying to expose something about Silver Pine Lake? He dodged, then hung up, but the message was clear. I wasn't just a random witness. I was a pawn in a 100-year-old war. That night, my elderly neighbor knocked. Evelyn Whitmore, bathrobe, clutching a photo album. You're really a Blackwater? She whispered. I think so, I said. Then this is yours. The album was full of documents, photos of the original manor, sworn affidavits, even a notarized statement from 1924 describing how the Holloways and Blackthorns forced my ancestor to sign away the valley, then made anyone who objected disappear. When your uncle came, I tried to give him this. He was killed before I could. Evelyn's father had been town clerk. She'd kept these secrets safe for 60 years. Penelope's grandfather helped steal this land. When you showed up, she made sure the Castellanos found your uncle. My blood ran cold. My uncle didn't die because of the mob. He died for digging into my family's legacy. There's more, Evelyn said, voice trembling. The HOA hall is built on a mass grave. Blackwaters who vanished in 1923, 57, 87. Construction crews found bones, but the records were buried. She pressed a brass key into my palm. Opens the HOA archives. The proof you need is there. Rodriguez isn't the only Fed watching Penelope. Others want her taken down. But they need you. DNA, real lineage. You're not just a victim, Mr. Blackwater. You're their nightmare. The next day, Penelope came to my door, black suit, legal papers in hand, smiling like a vulture. You have 30 days to comply, or we'll foreclose. You can't foreclose on land you don't own, I told her, holding up the 1842 deed. Her color faded. That's not valid. Not when the rightful owners were murdered trying to claim it. That's called criminal fraud. And I have proof. Her hand trembled. You can't prove anything, can I? Your own archives hold the evidence. And if I'm right, the FBI will be interested in what's under your precious HOA hall. She left shaken, but I knew this wasn't over. That night, 3 cars sat idling outside, shadows watching, intimidation tactics straight out of a mobster's playbook. At dawn, I found a manila envelope on my porch. Old news clippings about my uncle, each slashed with red ink. You're next. That morning, I met with Sarah Ashford, the federal prosecutor who'd been chasing Silver Pine Lake's financial crimes. Her office looked like a conspiracy board come to life. When she saw my evidence, deed, documents, key, her eyes lit up. We've been waiting for this, she said. You're the missing piece. She scheduled the raid for that night, coincidentally, the same night as the HOA's emergency meeting. I put on my only suit and crossed to the HOA hall. The place was packed. Penelope strutted to the podium, tried to whip the crowd into a frenzy about outsiders threatening their way of life. But when I stood up, the room fell silent. I laid out the story, how my family's land was stolen, how every Blackwater who tried to reclaim it ended up missing, how the very building we stood in was built on their graves. These are just fairy tales. Penelope shouted, but then I held up Evelyn's album, photographs, notarized affidavits, police reports. The room erupted in questions. Right then, the doors burst open, Sarah Ashford and 6 FBI agents sweeping in, warrants in hand. Penelope Blackthorne, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and murder for hire. She shrieked, called me a liar, tried to claim I was the real criminal. But Ashford produced tapes, Penelope on the phone with Castellano Associates, trading my uncle's location for silence. Her power crumbled, her allies arrested, her empire of fear collapsing in front of a stunned crowd. Down in the archives, ground-penetrating radar showed the truth, dozens of bodies beneath the foundation. The documents were there too, the original Blackwater deed, forged transfers, journals chronicling every crime. In the end, it was all laid bare, murder, theft, 100 years of lies. 6 months later, Silver Pine Lake was changed forever. The HOA hall was gone, replaced by Blackwater Memorial Park. The house on Lakeshore Drive became a museum. Evelyn lived to see justice done, passing away with her secrets finally told. Rodriguez confessed, placing me here was deliberate, the final move in a case the FBI had been building for years. And me? I married Sarah. We rebuilt, honored my ancestors, and told the true story in schools and in stone. Sometimes I still hear whispers on the lake at night, but now, they feel like thanks, not warnings. But the story isn't over. Last week, a package arrived, my great-great-grandfather's journal, hinting at a secret deeper than land or even murder, a hidden mineral deposit beneath the lake, the real reason the valley was stolen, the first thread in a nationwide conspiracy. And now other families are coming forward, other legacies stolen, other HOAs with blood in the soil. If you made it this far, smash that like button and subscribe, because this fight's just getting started. Drop a comment. What would you do if your family's history was buried under someone else's mansion? Would you walk away? Or come home and dig up the truth, no matter who tries to stop you?